Good morning, Patriots. I don't know what's wrong with the sound, but the sound ain't sounding. So now we got to fix it. How you doing today? This is Mike the Patriot coming to you live from the downtown metropolis of Lamont, Missouri. I hope you guys are having a great day wherever it is you are at. It's beautiful here in central Missouri. Weather's nice. It's 46 chilly degrees, but the sun is shining and the birds are singing. And what more could you ask for than the sun shining and the birds a singing? Here we go. Let's pull this off the stage. There we go. And now maybe the sound will work. This is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it, even when I mess things up. Because somebody's, I'm only broadcasting on all the channels. Somebody's got to show a guy how to do this. Oh, Lord have mercy. The word of the day, as given by the Lord, presented by Marine in the Woods, is Romans. It's Romans 12, 3 through 8. I almost said 1. Romans 12, 3 through 8. Make sure you crack open the Bible, see what God has for you today, because God is absolutely good all the time, and all the time He is good. Now let's start off with the video that I was going to play that for some reason didn't share any audio. What is going on? Let me get this lined up again. A little bit of audio. This is, by the way, the reason why you do not want to buy new vehicles right now until they get rid of this mandated rule.
Hey, looking good.
Granny, we gotta go. We gotta go.
You think? Let's go.
Come on.
Due to elevated heart rate, high stress levels, and panic indicators, you are not fit to operate this vehicle.
What? There's a tornado!
Have you tried calming down?
Daryl, it's getting bigger.
Start the truck!
Let's begin a breathing exercise. Inhale. Exhale.
I'm not breathing right now!
Daryl, do something.
I'm trying!
Analyzing driver condition, I've determined you...
I know what you're determined, but you're wrong!
I am never wrong.
Whose bright idea was this?
Your government's.
Granny, I have a feeling we're not in America anymore. Uh-oh.
Somewhere over the rainbow.
That's right. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. That's right. There's a law now that 2027 vehicles and newer will have sensors in it to determine whether or not you are safe to drive. And if you're not safe to drive, well, then they won't start. If you have elevated heart rate, flushed skin, if you're sweating profusely, it will detect that and say, you're over the limit. You can't drive, even if a tornado's bearing down on you. Let me tell you something. This is going to lead to liability problems. Because somebody is going to get hurt. But the government's trying to pass another law to undo the law that they passed because of the unintended consequences of the law that they passed that may cause liability limitations to the manufacturers. Because when something bad does happen, because the car won't start, well, it'll be bad. My new truck slowed down when in cruise control when I came up on a vehicle. Yeah, that's actually, you could turn that off, Marine. That's a option. You don't have to have it. I don't think it's necessarily a bad option. I liked it when I drive my father-in-law's GT5 Kia GT5 with the turbos and all that, and you get behind the old trucks and you go to take off. It slows you down when you're in the traffic, and then when you merge, boom, there you go again. It's okay, Marine. You could turn that off. My old Jeep doesn't have it. My wife's Jeep does have it, sort of, kind of works. Not nearly as fun as the Kia GT5. I'll tell you that right now. Did you know that Senator Kennedy had a TikTok? He does. Here's Senator Kennedy on TikTok. And why is there no sound? What is going on? Okay. Why do we have no sound? What is going on here? Let's try that again. Let me just see. Does this one has sound, right? Oh, this is going to be a long day, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be a long day. I think I found the problem. I don't know why it muted. There was a mute button turned on. I had Senator Kennedy all lined up. It was one of the funniest ones I've seen lately, and I screwed it all up. I'm not even sure how I did that, but I did it. Here we go. Let's try this again. This time with sound. Hopefully it works.
Folks, I believe that love is the answer, but you ought to own a handgun just in case.
Oh, you got to love it. My 64 GTO doesn't have it. Nope, they don't have that kind of thing. Yeah, my old Dodge truck doesn't have cruise, doesn't have air, doesn't have anything. Nothing on the dashboard works. It just is what it is. It's an old truck. It's an old truck. That's right. Kennedy says that you can solve just about anything with love, but you ought to have a handgun just in case, in case you have to reach out and tap someone from a distance. Why get in a fight when you can carry a gun? That's what I'm saying. By the way, the Democrats are saying when they stack the courts and have a 7-6 ruling, this is their response to the courts setting straight the original intent of the Voting Rights Act. They said when we stack the courts, we're going to ban guns. Here it is right here. This is Kurt Slinkler, whatever his name is. We've decided to pack the Supreme Court, and now our 7-6 majority has decided you don't have the right to guns, so please line up and turn them in. Thanks. Then Finch says this is why we don't vote Democrat. But I've got more to say on that. And that is this, Kurt, the reason we have guns is because we have guns. You first. That's why we have guns. Well, you ain't sure you could just protect yourself and go hunting. No. That's not what the reason the founding fathers put guns as the Second Amendment in the Bill of Rights. Understand that the amendments, the first, second, all the way to the 10th amendments, were not something that was debated upon years later. They were added at the ratifying of the Constitution. And again, we own guns because we own guns. And that is, once you have guns, it's a lot harder to get rid of them. Which is the reason why Democrats have been trying to take over healthcare, take over the food supply, take over the water supply, take over the financial departments, is because they want to be able to put a stranglehold on you and tell you you can have all the things you want and all the things you need if you just give up your guns. You're right. The Second Amendment is the only reason we have rights now. Yeah. Here's the Babylon Bee. Here's the Babylon Bee talking about tomorrow's news today in the form of satire. Democrats deny inciting violence and say anyone who thinks they do must be eliminated by any means necessary. Washington, D.C. Less than a week after yet another assassination attempt against President Donald Trump, leaders of the Democrat Party pushed back against claims that they are guilty of inciting violence and said anyone who thinks that they are should be eliminated by any means necessary, following accusations that their rhetoric stirred up supporters to commit violent acts against conservatives. Prominent Democrats denied engaging in any incitement of political violence and stressed the importance of doing whatever is needed to take out anyone who thinks otherwise. People who think we incite violence must be taken down, said House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, also good Baptist boy who loves the call of morning prayer. It's unconscionable to make allegations that our party is somehow guilty of calling for political violence against our opposition. Anyone who makes claims to the contrary should get what's coming to them, if you know what I mean. Despite numerous acts of violence against Republicans and conservatives in recent years, Democrats maintain that they are in no way responsible and urged anyone who disagrees with them to be quiet if they value their lives. We have never threatened anyone, said Congresswoman Rashid Tlaib. And you don't want to find out what happens to the next person who tries to say we have. Democrats clarified that anyone who accuses them of inciting violence was literally Hitler and should never be allowed to hold political office, no matter the cost. At publishing time, Democrats have preemptively distanced themselves from the next assassination attempt against Donald Trump. Well, the funny thing is about that is that these people absolutely did say
we haven't
these people absolutely did incite this. They absolutely did say the things they say they didn't say. And I have it on video somewhere if I can just find it. But for some reason, in the middle of the show, with everything else that's going on, did I tell y'all that I'm broadcasting on all the channels today? Yeah, of course I did. What are we going to do? What are we going to do, right? I have it here somewhere. Let's see. Not that one. I know I have it here somewhere. If I could just figure out how to work this here Google box. Oh, you set up the joke, you get it all set up, ready to go, and then you screw it all up totally. But that's okay. That's okay. It's all right. We'll figure it out eventually. And I have no idea where this post went that I had totally set up. I guess it doesn't matter. So we'll just go on to some other crazy posts, and maybe we'll come across that post. For example, this crazy post. This is a California governor candidate in California. Just letting you know where we're coming from.
CJEC, the Coalition for Just and Equitable California, which has been leading the charge for reparations, does not do institutional endorsements, but I am proud to bear the personal endorsement of Chris Lodgson, its intellectual leader. I have been 10 toes down for reparations for my entire career, and I will also just make the point that the Green Party has as well. The reason why I accepted Dr. Jill Stein's invitation to run as the vice president for the Green Party in 2024 was I asked her about reparations, and she said they behave as though it's incalculable, but it's been calculated many times. It's $14 trillion at least that is owed to the descendants of the enslaved, and I'm in favor of cash payments.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. He's calling for $14 trillion in reparations. By the way, the debt has now reached $39 trillion, pushing closer to $40 trillion than $39 trillion. And it has matched the GDP of the country, which is about $39 trillion, actually $38 trillion. And this dude wants half the GDP of the country in reparations. And he was never a slave. He's not even a child of a slave. He's not even a child of the slave. He might be a child of a slave. Yeah, just print the $1 trillion coins and give it to him. Yeah, that'd be fun. Just do that. That'll solve all your problems. Will be solved then, wouldn't it? Here's another story. This is insane. Alabamans are excited. I make fun of the people from Alabama, and I don't really make fun of them. I make fun of them in parody of how the elitist Democrats, like Jasmine Crockett, she's one of the powerful 536 members of Congress. And she is a very select few of elitists when she looks down on her friends from the hood. And she definitely looks down on her friends from that Alabama. Ugh. Alabama. Well, Alabama's feeling pretty prideful right now. Alabama, after finding out their student math and English scores are higher than New York and California. What was that? Everybody makes joke. Now Alabamans are making jokes about Californians. Yeah. Good times. Good times. So let's see here. Where is it at? I just saw your post about Buc-ee's. There it is. Marine says no Buc-ee's here in Ohio. I got to go to DC. I got to go to Baltimore. Same thing. The first weekend of June. So that'll be Thursday, Friday, and Monday of that weekend. I will not have a show, but maybe I'll get Charlie to sit in or something. I don't know. But good times, right? There's no Buc-ee's on the way. I mean, you go to Florida, you can go buy a couple of Buc-ee's. You go to Texas, you can go buy like 100 Buc-ee's. From Missouri, we actually have a Buc-ee's down in Springfield, and they're opening one up in the Kansas City area. But there's no Buc-ee's. That's the only drawback to driving to there. So, well, I was hoping you'd go with Marine. I'm sure there's a good restaurant around there somewhere. We'll find it. Actually, John lives there, so he'll probably know. Anyways, inside story. Especially the ones who moved to Missouri. Yep. So Alabama has higher scores.
Okay, I'm at potentially hundreds of.
Alabama has higher scores than California. And I believe it because way back when I was in California, school was just a daycare center. It was basically a Leering center before there was Leering centers. Alabama has a Buc-ee's. Of course they do. See, those of you Northerners, you don't know about them Buc-ee's. It is a cultural icon. I don't. My wife and daughter are like obsessed with it. It's okay. I mean, the brisket sandwich is outstanding. There's no doubt. No doubt. The brisket sandwich is phenomenal. Phenomenal. It's the best there is. I'm just saying. Oh, then there's this. So we're talking about voter ID, right? Well, here's a guy. Voter ID. Voter ID is racist.
Business owner says voter ID is racist, but then asks for an ID. Voter idiocy, voter ID laws are racist. Just say no to voter ID. Oh my God, this guy, I love him so much.
Good. How are you?
Oh my God, his
Are
voice.
You the shop owner?
The do-rag.
I have some terrible news.
The chain.
It looks like your certificate for the shop, it's actually expired. Yeah, it expired, and we're going to need $500 today to make sure that you can still have the shop going.
Ooh, that's such a good point.
I'm Javante. I'm with the Illinois State Licensing Board.
Can I have your ID?
Excuse me, bigot? Did you just ask a black man for his ID?
Come on.
I was assigned white skin pigmentation at birth by my parents' bigoted doctor, but I identify as African American. You can't ask me for my ID. That's racist.
That's too good.
Those are your signs out there, aren't they? It says ID is racist.
That is different.
How is it different?
It's different because.
Because how? Did you ask me for my ID so you know who I am?
Why are you? You need a license.
So you're asking me so you know who I am, right?
Yes.
Because an ID makes you feel more comfortable knowing I am who I say I am?
Yeah, because I have to know who are you.
Isn't that what they're doing at the voting booth?
Yes.
Exactly. So how are IDs racist at the voting booth? You don't have an answer, do you? You just put up those signs just to put them up.
This
You
is
did?
amazing.
Good luck with that, buddy.
This man is a comedic genius.
So, it's only racist if you're a Democrat and you need the votes. That's the only time that it's racist. The rest of the time, not racist. Oh, here's the video of the Democrats calling on Democrats are the politicians of peace and tolerance and love, damn it. Here they are.
And Donald Trump is an extreme danger to our democracy. He is, in my view, an unstable man that poses a variety of dangers.
He's an existential threat to democracy.
And this is just what we imagine the devil would be like.
Well,
they're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
he is the greatest threat to our democracy in our history.
He's channeling Adolf Hitler.
For a man to stand up there and really give legitimacy to what Hitler stood for and killed 6 million Jews, that was anti-black, those that would be LGBTQ, you describe now.
Donald Trump is an existential threat to democracy.
I feel like MAGA in general, they are threats to us domestically.
And of course, our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow.
It's so funny. We're the party of peace. And if you don't agree with us, we'll kill you. And take your guns. Good luck with that. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Jim Acosta. You remember Jim Acosta? Jim Acosta. You remember he's also one of them elitists. Jim Acosta, washed up has-been news reporter, trying to do what I do for a living and sucking at it. The only reason he has followings because he bought and paid for them, which I refuse to do. Here is Jim Acosta. Donald Trump is spending a couple, millions of dollars to redo the viewing pond, the pool, the reflection pool, whatever they call it, the one between the Lincoln Memorial and the Washington Memorial, and it's been in piss poor shape. The Obama spent millions and millions of dollars fixing it, and they didn't fix it. Joe Biden spent millions and millions of dollars trying to fix it. They didn't fix it. Now Donald Trump is fixing it. And Jim Acosta, well, he doesn't think it's a good idea.
Okay, so we came down here to see if the National Park Service is actually painting the reflecting pool blue. And they're really doing it right now with blue paint. So it looks like a swimming pool, except it doesn't. But it's happening. And it's so weird and dumb.
Dude, this is sucky and it's tacky and we're just gonna pay never this bitch.
So Trump says it's only going to cost $2 million. And if you believe that, I have a reflecting pool to sell you. But in the meantime, this is what he said he wants to see out of the new reflecting pool. And I'm going to read this. He said, quote, like in the Bahamas. He said, well, this is Washington, sir. We can give you turquoise. But why don't you try like we have a color? It's called American flag blue. I said, that's the color I like. That's a quote from Donald Trump. It's breathtaking. It's so moving.
This guy's such a donkey. Yeah, it's called American flag blue. You commie piece of crap. You commo fascist Marxist piece of crap. Why don't you find some other country to go live in? You know, here's the thing about how stupid this guy is. This is how stupid Jim Acosta is. Jim Acosta did this. I wonder how much crow he had to sit there and eat. Because Donald Trump was building a border wall his first term. And they mocked him, and Jim Acosta went down there and mocked him. And then we saw what happened under Joe Biden's administration. If only we had completed the border wall.
Here are some of the steel slats that the president's been talking about right here. As you can see, yes, you can see through these slats to the other side of the U.S.-Mexico border. But as we're walking along here, we're not seeing any kind of imminent danger. There are no migrants trying to rush toward this fence here in the McAllen, Texas area. As a matter of fact, there are some other businesses behind me along this highway. There's a gas station, Burger King, and so on. But no sign of the national emergency that the president has been talking about. As a matter of fact, it's pretty tranquil down here.
What did you say?
Oh, it's pretty wonderful. It's great. It's wonderful down here. Yeah, Jim, where were you about 22? Huh? Or 23? When they let millions and millions and millions of kids, where were you when they're standing outside going, well, look at the rape trees? Where were you? Huh? You conceited little. It's people like you, sir, that are actively destroying this country. People like you turd bag. No wonder you're not on the air anymore. Here's an interesting little story right here. Here it is. So I want you to see something. Kim Clement prophecy talks about earthquakes. Listen to me. Kim Clement's prophecy, we all know him. I played him a million times. Kim Clement's prophecy talks about earthquakes and energy. You remember that? The E's. That there will be earthquakes and that we will discover great sources of energy. This is a new report. 65 billion lithium mother lode hidden beneath Appalachian mountains could supply U.S. with power for centuries. They've hit the mother lode. We no longer need to rely on foreign batteries to power our electronics. Geologists have announced that the Appalachian Mountains could be hiding sprawling multi-billion-dollar cache of lithium that could last the U.S. hundreds of years. This research shows that the Appalachians contain enough lithium to help meet the nation's growing needs, declared the U.S. Geological Survey Director Ned Mamila in a statement. According to the map by the institution, the East Coast mountain range houses 2.5 metric tons of this battery precursor, most of which concentrated in the Carolinas, Maine, New Hampshire, total value of $64.4 billion. The U.S. imports nearly half the consumption of lithium, which powers lithium-ion batteries and is used for everything from iPhones to vehicles and even aerospace alloys. With this recent material motherlode, the USGS officials estimate that it could supply 1.6 million grid-scale batteries, enough to power 130 million electric vehicles and supply 180 billion laptops for the collective 1,000 years of global use. It could also fuel 500 billion cell phones, the equivalent of 60 devices for every person on Earth. All told, that this haul is enough to replace 328 years of imports, at last year's level, providing a major contribution to the U.S. mineral security at a time when global lithium demand is rising rapidly. So think about those prophetic words from Kim Clement. And while you're thinking about those prophetic words from Kim Clement, I want you to think about other part of that prophetic word from Kim Clement, because there's news, all the news that you can use. There's news out there about some events that are happening around the world that lead you to think about the other part of that prophecy from Kim Clement. He said that the earth shall bring forth its bounty and energy. And we find out we now sit on the mother lode of lithium. And then, so what are you talking about, Mike, with the other side of that prophetic word? Well, let me get to it here and I will show you. But there's breaking news. There's breaking news that many people may not have heard, that I found to be extremely interested as I saw. Here it is right here. Did you all hear this? This happened yesterday. Area 51 struck by 17 earthquakes in 24 hours as a 4.4 magnitude quake hits the Nevada base. Well, that's interesting, because he talked about earthquakes, the big E, energy and earthquakes. Now, here's another one. This is going to upset some of you. I'm telling you right now. Because there is no such thing as time travel. Because that's a God purview. God is the only one outside of time. No, none of us, we're all captured in time. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock is by God. He declared it. You cannot travel back in time. You cannot travel forward in time. It's not going to happen. Here is Laura Trump answering that question.
All right, final question. What do you think of the theory that Barron is a time traveler? You know what? What is this? I've seen this out there. And by the way, the amount of views that some of these videos get where they really dissect like how this really worked out, and you go back and there was a Barron Trump, and all of it is wild, actually, if you really look at it. I'm not trying to ruin anybody or rain on any parades here. Barron Trump is not a time traveler. Sorry to say it. I'm sorry. I broke a lot of people's hearts today. Yeah, I think the theory is crazy, obviously. But listen, that should show you out there how much like really crazy stuff exists, okay? Name me one time traveler. Name me anybody who actually can say that that's a real thing. It doesn't exist. But people have gotten so far off the rails on this Barron being a time traveler thing. I don't know what to tell you. I think it's crazy. I've known Barron for 18 years. Okay. He's not a time traveler. I've seen him grow up. It's crazy stuff. But I think people love to grab on to, conspiracies or things that are very far-fetched like that. You also, if you believe that, may be a person who believes that we didn't actually land on the moon. We're going back. Artemis 2 just circled around the dark side of the moon. They got all their intel. We're going back. We're going back to the moon, and then we're going to Mars, supposedly. You probably believe that 9/11 was an inside job. All those things, right? Barron is not a time traveler. So I'm sorry to ruin it for everybody, but that's just what we got to do here today.
It was eruptions, too. There was 3 E's, I believe. It was energy, earthquakes, and eruptions. I saw a picture of Barron at Lincoln's speech. Yeah. You know how many people are making ridiculous amount of money spreading that ridiculous stuff? The thing is, there was a comment on my show from yesterday. A guy just upset that he doesn't trust Dan Bongino, doesn't like Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino's compromised. Let me tell you, all this stuff that's out there, that these Patriot mythology influencers have put out there, insurgents have put out there, all this stuff, right? The med beds. My sister sent me something the other day and asked me if it was true, and it was talking about quantum financial system. All this stuff that's put out there is designed to make you confused, upset, and doubt. It's not happening. It's not happening people are it's not happening because they had their hearts set on Purple Ox and Gitmo, and that's not the way it's going to go down. It's intentional. And all this stuff. So here's my conspiracy theory. This Barron Trump time travel stuff. And, well, there's a book that was from 18... Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, sure there is. I saw it on the internet. There is a book. Is it that old? It says it was published this, then, and there. I know what it says. What I'm saying to you, is it that old? Is it possible that maybe it was created to sell a book? The whole time travel thing was created. How many of you went out and bought the book? Nacera Rattletrap 1776 interviewed Charlie Rhodes on that. He lost credibility at that point. Nacera Jacera isn't happening. No, what you're more likely to get than Nacera Jacera is a make the world great again type deal. It's what makes America exceptional. It's rugged individualism. It means that you do the best you can to make yourself great and you take care of your family. I'll do the best that I can to make myself great and take care of my family. And everybody will be great together when we do that. Everybody will be elevated. If you want to be captain of industry and create electric cars and rocket ships, be the best rocket ship guy that you can be. But if you want to be a trash collector, be the best trash collector you can be. And if everybody's just being the best at who they are, we don't have to worry about crime. We don't have to worry about what's going on around the rest of the world. So if America's concentrating on making America great, and China's concentrating on making China great, and Taiwan's concentrating on making Taiwan great, and Russia's concentrating on making Russia great, and France is concentrating on making France great, and Belgium is concentrating on making Belgium great, then we don't have time for wars. That's the concept that Donald Trump has. Rugged individualism and rugged individual countryism. Nationalism. Oh my God, he's Hitler. No. Hitler was a socialist. Socialists want to get involved in everybody's business. That's the problem. Got a bunch of socialists running around named Thomas Massey and Rand Paul wanting to get involved in everybody's business. How about I leave you alone and you leave me alone? And how about the United States leaves Russia alone and Russia leaves China alone and China leaves the United States alone and everybody leaves everybody alone and we do our own thing? Now there's a novel concept. That's what we're getting to, though. That's what's going to happen for a short period of time before God pulls away. Did y'all see this? The mayor up in the governor up in Maine, she was running for Senate and she had, because her terms are up or something, she's dropped out. Simply did not have the one thing the political campaigns unfortunately require today, financial resource. She's dropped out of the race. Yeah, the mayor, by the way, this is her stand. These two people put out hits on journalists reporting on fraud. She's standing with them. This is the mayor.
Triad weed story is a personal one for me because when I first started digging around back in my hometown in Dexter, I quickly discovered that there was a illegal marijuana grow next to my high school basketball coach's house. There's an illegal marijuana grow at the top of my camp road, illegal marijuana grow on my dad's road. The guy who knocked up my high school girlfriend, he's got an illegal marijuana grow next to him. But they really crossed the line because just about less than a mile that way, there's an illegal marijuana grow that the governor's brother, Paul Mills, transferred to the ownership of a Chinese national. And this is a sacred site. This is where Steve Robinson and his high school buddies first got bombed on Bagwine and Zima. Right there at that bonfire, there should be a monument up.
The governor's brother was paid
to help facilitate a transaction on behalf of Chinese national drug traffickers. Indisputably, based on the public records. And no other media outlet in the state will talk about it. Steve Robinson, editor-in-chief of the Maine Wire, here on the scene in beautiful Corinna, Maine. As the direct result of our reporting and our unwillingness to look away from the problem, there have been an increasing number of raids on these properties.
I hear noise in the back. Yep. Sheriff's office! Come out with your hands up! We know you're up there. Come out!
One of those properties was in Corinna, Maine, where my mom grew up, right next to the town office. You won't believe me, but when I was a kid, this entire skyline would have been blotted out by a big woolen mill that just polluted the shit out of the entire river, caused a lot of problems. It was actually a super fun site for most of my childhood. But now that it's been torn down, I can actually see the church right in downtown Corinna, where my brother got married to his first wife, and where my Grammy Hartley used to go to church for the longest time. So as I'm poking around the Corinna area and preparing to do some of our first public reporting, I just stumbled on this property record related to a location, 51 Cider Hill Road in Corinna, right on the Exeter town line. The property behind me, 9 St. Albans Road, was recently raided in February. A couple of other properties nearby also raided, thought to be part of a vast operation covering the state. 13 days later, there was a property transfer initiated for a location about 5 miles that away. What really caught my eye about this one, in addition to the idea of a property in central Maine being transferred into the custody of a Chinese foreign national with no paid, no capital gains taxes paid, was that the attorney who facilitated that transfer was a guy named Paul Mills, who supplied an address of 163 Main Street in Farmington. That just so happens to be the address of a law office in Farmington, Mills & Mills, which is run by Paul Mills, the oldest brother of the governor of Maine, Janet Mills. Very interesting development here. The question, of course, is why is Paul Mills, an established attorney, an elderly man, helping the operators and owners of an illegal marijuana cultivation site 13 days after a raid at a separate property 5 miles away? The only way really to elucidate what's going on here, I think, is going to be to go ask Paul Mills and his little sis, Governor Janet Mills, some questions.
Okay, sure.
I wonder if you have a moment to talk about that property in Corinna.
Not at the moment. No, right.
Okay, you get the point. She may be a little bit corrupt, and she may be other things. This is her performing at a Portland drag show on October 29th, 2022. That's right. That is the governor of Maine. I mean, what could go wrong, right? And here's Donald Trump talking about during the 2024 election, the governor of Maine.
And your radical left governor has announced a plan to resettle 75,000 migrants. Many of them will be murderers, gang members, and terrorists, frankly. And whatever is going on with him, radical left governor, he's announced the plan already. He wants to resettle 75,000 migrants into Maine. That's only because they told him to do so. He's weak and ineffective. And they told him to do so, and he's saying... Donald
Trump kept calling him a he. But I don't know. I wasn't there.
Keep it at that some of the.
So there's the governor of Maine who's running for senator dropping out of the race because it doesn't have the money to do so. Yep. Very interesting times we live in, isn't it? Things are being exposed that maybe we didn't want to know, because I didn't want to know. Speaking of being exposed, Sean Hannity asked Dan Bongino about the UFOs. You know, we had all them earthquakes down at Area 51. Let's see.
That some of this stuff is very, very, very difficult to explain away by campfires, drones.
All right, let me go a little deeper. Let me push a little harder. Anything that our government knows that is so classified that you couldn't see?
Me as the deputy? No.
Yeah, you could see everything.
Yes.
And
on that, yeah.
And you did look.
Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing, I'm sure.
There's nothing, like we don't have an alien body.
No.
There's close encounters.
No, I mean, we could.
What does your gut tell you?
Well, I shouldn't say that because you don't know what you don't know. The president can see everything. He's the ultimate declassification authority. So I shouldn't say that. I'll just leave it at, I only know what I know. And I was given access to a pretty broad.
See, I've asked him a couple of times as a friend, not in any professional capacity. And he's not as interested in. I'm like, why are you not demanding an answer? I want to know. Just ask for me.
Because I think when there's a, Holman Jenkins does a really good write-up at this in the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah.
The Wall Street Journal kind of is not the most MAGA outlet, but that's fine. Like I like the paper. I've been reading the op-ed column since I'm 18. I don't think I've missed one since. But Holman Jenkins has a really, really amazing series of pieces in the op-ed section. Just put in any outlet, WSJ.com, Jenkins, UFOs. He's got at least 10 pieces on this. My humble opinion, if you want to really understand why the president and others in the national security infrastructure are very careful with this topic, he has the best explanation out there by far.
And
you have to be very, very careful because foreign adversaries listen to this stuff. That's why guys like me in a position of responsibility don't go off half-cocked and be like, hey, man, look, there's some shit out there, but I'm not going to I'm telling you the truth. There's some stuff that's bizarre. I'm not telling you it's not explainable. Matter of fact, a couple of them that we even thought were bizarre had a pretty innocent explanation later. And as measurement and AI gets better, I think more and more of these things will be explainable. But I'm telling you, a large swath of what you're seeing on the internet is very,
it
very
can be convincing, though.
If you look up parallax, it'll knock out 90% of these things. The parallax effect.
Okay.
You think you're seeing something moving fast. You're not. You're seeing a camera moving fast. You're not seeing something. That's not all of them. I'm just telling you, like it's a lot. But you got to be very careful.
It doesn't contradict anything in the Bible. If you look up whether or not, God created the heavens and the earth, it doesn't talk about whether or not God may have created other life on other planets, whatever, or other universes, because we have universes within universes. All right.
Have you read the Bible, Sean? Just asking for a friend because I don't know. Dan Bongino's like, no, then Sean Hannity's like, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. There is something coming, by the way. Wonders in the heavens. But it will not be, it'll be deception by far. Another thing, Dan Bongino's given a list, rank 1 out of 10 if the person is a traitor. And listen to what he says. There's some conversation about Christopher Wray and what his role in all this is.
1 to 10, 10 being the worst.
Yeah.
James Comey.
Easy 10. Easy.
1 to 10. Christopher Wray.
Jury's still out, but definitely in that
8, 9, 10.
The only reason I say the jury's still out is because I'm not sure what was deliberate ignorance. In other words, don't tell me because I don't want to know, and what was deliberate. So the jury's still out on that.
Clapper and Brennan.
Oh, only because 10 has to mean something. I'll give Brennan a 10 and Clapper a 9, but Clapper's probably a 10 too. But 10 has to mean something because or else the rating system doesn't mean anything.
Who else should be on that 10 list?
Stroke. Peter Stroke.
What about Page?
Yeah, I would. The fact that Stroke was a manager makes him worse. I'm telling you, they're all in that 8 to 10 band, but there's nothing like a rating system where everybody gets an A, right? You can't have that. Everybody gets a 10. I would throw, in there as well. In that band, I would put Pre-Step in there.
McCabe?
Oh, McCabe is another easy 10. I mean, McCabe is these guys.
And this is,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I'm sure. And the thing about McCabe, I think that McCabe would almost be like a 10.5 because what bothers me about McCabe is, listen, Sean, when Michael Milken got caught in that big financial thing, like he dedicated the rest of his life to charity.
Yeah.
There are people to this day go, oh, I don't care. He ripped me off and he sucks. And you're allowed to think that. But love him or hate him, he at least made an effort to correct his wrongs. This McCabe, I would watch him. I'm the deputy now. Like I'm in his office. He was the deputy. I'm now in your office. I know everything you knew. I'm watching this guy on CNN and I'm like, the freaking
you lying
hyena balls on this guy. I know he's lying.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the fact that he is still like that time he comes after me. There was that DC incident where the guy had screamed like Allahu Akbar. And I was very candid with the public. I said, we are investigating this as an act of terrorism. We're not investigating it as a candy store robbery, you dipshit. The guy freaking screamed Allahu Akbar. I don't care about your euphemisms games. I'm the deputy. We're going to speak clearly with the American people. He goes, I cannot believe they said this. I'm like, that's why you're on CNN right now and I'm not. That's
well, I know Dan Bongino. We can't trust him. Oh my God. The thing is, the counter psyop to Q, the Patriot mythology insurgency, the big names, how'd they get so big all of a sudden? Was designed to cast doubt and make you doubt everything. Q said, look at everything, research everything, think about everything. Then the Patriot mythology insurgency to counter Q. Q was designed to do two things: wake people up and scare the hell out of the bad guys. Well, the bad guys got to scare the hell out of them, so they had to do something to counter it. The Patriot mythology insurgency. All the QRF, the Nasera Dessera, the Michael Jackson and JFK Jr. coming back to life, the med beds, all the stuff out there that's now turning against Donald Trump and all this stuff, all the Candace Owens, we got Candace Owens being sued right now, all the Tucker Carlson stuff, all of this hate the Jews stuff is designed to cast doubt. If somebody says something to counter that, and the answer is, you're just a Jew lover, you took $7,000. That's not a constructive conversation. That's mind control. That's the scam. All the stuff that's out there is to cause you doubt. It's taking some truth and making it a lie. Standard operating procedure for the enemy of this world. The enemy of Christ. He did it in the very beginning. You won't surely die. Did God really say that? Casting doubt. Don't trust what you see. Don't trust what you hear. Don't trust any politician. don't trust what the Bible says. They're now, the same operation is now attacking the Bible. It's attacking Paul, which is the most of the New Testament. Don't read it for yourself. Trust them. This is a dismiss and malinformation campaign. This is what it is. Here's Donald Trump on Ray.
Running this Biden thing. The difference is I fire people. I fired Comey. I got rid of him.
You didn't fire Christopher Wray.
Well, I you know what? At the time, I don't know. Let's see what the final judgment is. But I didn't fire Christopher Wray. I didn't fire people I would have, but I fired a lot of people. You know, I had turnover. They have no turnover right now.
How do you know if you get back in, you don't have a network of people around you working against you?
I will, and so will anybody else that gets in as a Republican. These people are sick. These are sick people.
But do you feel better this time around because you know what to expect?
Well, I also know people that I didn't know before. I know now the smart ones. I know the dumb ones. I know the weak ones and the strong ones. I know tremendous amounts of people that I know will do a great job. But I was different. When I didn't like a job that somebody was done, I fired them, just like The Apprentice. I said, you're fired. You have to go.
What about some of your former officials? Do you see them being in this next cabinet? Mike Pompeo, for example.
I don't know.
John Ratcliffe?
He's fantastic. I mean, he's a great guy. John Ratcliffe has done a great job.
Dr. Ben Carson?
He's done a fantastic job.
So you're expecting them to be in your cabinet?
Some of them, yeah. I mean, if somebody did a good job, I would do that, yeah.
Did you get that? Mike Pompeo, I don't know. Ratcliffe, oh, he's a great guy. Ben Carson, he's a great guy. You notice that? Mike Pompeo ain't. Ratcliffe is in his minute. Is Dr. Ben Carson in his? Yeah, is he? I don't think he is. Somebody tell me. I'm pretty sure Dr. Ben Carson turned down Trump. I think Dr. Ben Carson was like, I'm too old for this crap. He's an old dude. By the way, you know, you got all these Democrats running around screaming and hooting and hollering and complaining that black people are never going to get ahead because the Supreme Court ruled, right? Right? Explain Dr. Ben Carson, who came from the hood, whose mom was illiterate, who took them to the library every single day, him and his brothers or his siblings. I don't know what the makeup was. Every single day, so they'd learn to read, so they would be smart, so they would have advantages. Dr. Ben Carson is a product of a mom who loved them enough to keep them out of the hood mentality. Unlike Jasmine Crockett, the queen of the wild frontier, who lived in the lap of luxury in the richest neighborhood in Missouri, in the southwest of St. Louis. And now pretends that she's from the hood to get votes. Difference. They both have the same skin tone, but there's a difference. So you're saying you're saying Carson wanted to retire. He was offered a spot. I was pretty sure he was offered a spot, but I don't think he's in the administration now. I think he did. I think he was wanting to take a step back. It's not that Donald Trump didn't trust him. It's that, I've had enough of this crap. I don't need it. I got the money. I'm going to go live my life. Here is Tom Elmer, GOP Majority Whip, on Tim Walz.
This guy has no religion except the altar of Tim Walz. Everything, you can't believe a word that comes out of this man's mouth. He lied about his military career. He's lied about, he got caught on national TV lying about something as dumb as when he was at Tiananmen Square. And what was his answer back in that debate with J.D. Vance? He said, well, sometimes I come from a small town and sometimes I'm a bit of a knucklehead. You know what? That's no excuse for being a liar. And when he says that the buck stops with him, I agree, because it's as much as $9 billion has gone out under his watch in just the last 7.5 years. And all this garbage he's doing at the end is more fraud on his behalf. Think about this. Over 20 raids of Somali fraudsters conducted by the FBI, conducted by the Department of Justice just this week, to daycare centers and autism centers. And what does Tim Walz do? And our corrupt attorney general, they try to take credit for the raids that are happening. Guess what? They had nothing to do with it. In fact, they have tried to sweep this under the rug forever. This was the reason that they were so adamant about the surge, because it took this topic off the headlines. Well, guess what? It's back, and he's going to have to answer for it. I'm glad he's acknowledging that he's the one that is going to have to answer for this.
Talking about Tim Walz. He's going to resign. It's going to happen. He's going to resign. Here's CNN just upset that the Supreme Court ruled that what they were doing, by the way, well, I'll get to this in a minute, but the history of this is so skewed, it's ridiculous. Here's the Supreme Court ruling that you can't judge your districts by the color of people's skins, and these lefties are just upset about it.
14 seats could be at risk all throughout the South. The question will be the timing. Is this a 2028 play? Is this a 2026 play? There are some primaries here coming up, not until later in the cycle. August 6th, there's one in Tennessee. That's Steve Cohen's seat. That's a majority minority district. That's an August 6th. The one Democratic seat there. The Jim Clyburn seat in South Carolina. That is the Democratic seat in South Carolina. That's a June 9th primary. Jamie, this shows you the ramifications long term for this ruling.
Absolutely. Just think about that number. 19 seats in play. And let's look at this politically. Laura, you talked about confusion going into this race. We're worried about voter suppression. Apart from the long-term impact, we are going to see people take advantage of that confusion. There is going to be, these midterms are so high stakes that anybody who thinks they can take advantage on the state level of this decision, there is going to be a scramble to see if they can, because each side thinks this is an existential midterm with the House, especially.
Yeah.
People are going to take advantage of it. Here's the thing. This doesn't suppress anybody's vote. Everybody that wants to vote still gets to go out and vote. What it does do is doesn't create artificial districts so that black people, this is the purpose of it, can vote for Democrats. That's what this is. You see, this eliminates artificial Democrat. Black people can still get elected. The problem is not the color of the skin, but the color of the politics. You see, back in the day, those were all blue states. But they started losing in these states when they went off the rails, which is what they did. Here is Representative Elmer again, or Senator Elmer, whatever he is, talking about what's going to happen in the midterm elections.
Hold our majority and expand it, Maria. And the way you're going to do that, first, it's perception and reality. You just started talking about the reality. The reality is there is all kinds of great news in our economy. The problem is the perception of the average American citizen has not intersected with that reality quite yet. If you take a look at tax day, that was the beginning of how people actually are feeling it directly. No taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime. As this thing builds and you start to see the celebrations that our great president is planning for this country, on its 250th birthday. And as you get those billions that you were talking about earlier on your program that are being injected into our economy right now, by the time we hit that August, September, October period, perception and reality will intersect. And guess what? We're going to have more than a message. And by the way, I got to mention this. They keep talking about affordability. It's always about the economy, stupid. It always has been. If the economy is performing and people do this emotional thing in September when they're going to vote, where they get up and they say, do I feel better about where I am today than I did when this started? And do I see a bright economic future? Guess what, Maria? They vote for more of what they have. And that's why I'm confident we're going to hold our majority in the House and we're going to actually expand it.
Well, and he's talking about it's the economy, stupid. We're hearing from the media. I just looked at the Drudge Report this morning. Gas prices are up. Yeah, I know. They're $3.60 here. Some places they're $4. California is $9, but that's California. That's your own stupid policies. Gas prices are up compared to the low that Donald Trump brought us, but they're not up compared to Joe Biden's high of $7 a gallon. It was like almost $6 a gallon here under Joe. Gas prices are not up. And that's the point. The economy is doing better, although there's a time coming, sooner rather than later. There's a time coming where the economy is going to go through a lot. That's what God says. But the economy is doing rather well right now. Look at this right here. Regardless of what stupid retard says in the comment section. Truly incredible. Brand new data shows initial jobless claims last week fell to the lowest since 1969. And let me ask you guys, they're saying $4.99 in Indiana, $4.99 in Chicago. What was the high, say, in 22-23 under Joe Biden? Do you remember? And what was the reason for the gas prices going up for Joe Biden? And what's the reason for the gas prices going up now? So the economy is doing well. People are going back to work. People got a bunch of money back from taxes that they didn't have to pay. My wife's check is now bigger on average because she doesn't have to pay taxes on all the overtime she gets working for the post office. You just wait. When Donald Trump gets this war settled in Iran, and he will get it settled regardless of what the naysayers say, prices of gasoline is going to drop dramatically. Dramatically going to come. Now, when we're talking about these votes, Hakeem Jeffries, I played for you yesterday what he said. This is Donald Trump's response. Hakeem Jeffries, the good Baptist boy who loves the call of morning prayer, just called the Supreme Court of the United States an illegitimate court. This is a low IQ individual who should not be allowed to talk that way about one of the greatest institutions anywhere in the world. He should withdraw the statement immediately, President Donald J. Trump. You're saying, Matthew, that the gas was never as high under Joe Biden. Boy, we have a short memory, don't we? Where do you live? We need to go back and think about it for a minute. Somebody Google in your neighborhood what gas prices were at the high under Joe Biden. And what was the reason for the price going up under Joe Biden? The reason for the price of gas going up under Joe Biden was Joe Biden cut off the supply of oil to the United States. He stopped drilling just about everywhere. He cut the Keystone Pipeline. He did all these things to force an energy crisis intentionally, to, by his own words, to get us to switch to unreliable sources of energy. As Barack Obama once said, energy prices will necessarily go up. What has Donald Trump done? Understand that if this war had kicked off under the Biden administration, we would have $200, $300, $400 barrel oil. Oil was $145 a barrel, I believe, in that neck of the woods under Biden. Oil in the United States, traded in the United States, hasn't went above 120, and it was only there for a minute. It's dropped back down around 100. It's like 105. Let me see. It's 100 right now. It was 105 this morning. It's 100 right now. Here's Donald Trump also talking about, this is about the Supreme Court redistricting and all that stuff. He says, I had a very good conversation with Governor Bill Lee of Tennessee this morning, wherein he stated that he would work hard to correct the unconstitutional flaw in the congressional maps of the great state of Tennessee. Likewise, all of the other political representatives of Tennessee have promised to do so. This should give us an extra seat and help save our country from the radical left Democrats and the radical rhino Republicans and their country-destroying policies of high tax, open borders, transgendered mutilation, defunding the police, ICE, and Border Patrol, no voter ID, soft on crime, and so much more. Thank you, Governor Lee. Push hard, President Donald J. Trump. Well, there you have it. Now we know who you are. We know who you are now. Thanks, Matt. What's the word I'm looking for? Nazi, fascist, pig. Yeah. Now we know why you said what you said. People will make any excuse for the Jew slave Trump. Gas was supposed to be under $2. Groceries was supposed to be affordable. Somalians were supposed to be deported. You haven't listened to my show very long, have you? It shows. Prices of things are never going down. The why? Oh my God! How could you say that, Mike? How could you say that? Because we have a fiat currency. And a fiat currency must inflate in order to have value. The Fed said it in so many words. Their goal rate is 2%, meaning every year your dollar's worth less by 2%. The price of everything goes up by 2% at least. That's their goal rate. How bad, sir, Mr. Jew hater Nazi, how bad was inflation 2.5 years ago? He hasn't said anything to get kicked off, Mike. He's not disrespecting or cussing or doing all of that stuff. And he's not posting stupid just to be stupid stuff either. He's posting stupid stuff, but that's what he really believes because he's a Jew-hating Nazi. The Jews are not the problem in the world, my friend. There's a scapegoat. By the way, that's biblical. Iran wasn't supposed to have they're stupid. Do you realize they launched a missile? They launched a missile to The island down there, I just can't remember. Marine Post the name. Diego Garcia. Do you realize that's 4,000 miles away? Do you realize they could hit Great Britain with that missile? Do you realize that they have enough, right now, they still have it, enough fusible material to create 10 to 12 nuclear bombs, and it would take them less than 30 days to do it? You do realize that. No, you're too stupid watching MS Now to realize that. That's the truth. What Donald Trump took out when he took out that mountain, when he bombed with the B-2, the bomber, he took out their ability to turn that fusible material into 90% grade weapons material. That's what he took out. But you're too stupid to understand all that stuff, because you're so set on the Jews are evil. My friend, do you know when you spout that garbage that you're hearing from Candace and Tucker and the rest, that you're speaking Iranian talking points? You do know that, right? Because let me tell you what the Bible says. It doesn't just say it to Abraham, that I'll bless those that bless you and curse those that curse you, but also says it, Balaam also says it about them. But you don't know that story because you don't read your Bible. You don't have any idea. It also says it 2 other places in the Bible. But you don't know that because you don't read the Bible. Because your little God, the God you serve, the God of this earth, the God of this age, doesn't want you to know that stuff. And he hates the Jews too. You know, you're fulfilling biblical end times prophecy, right? No, you don't know that because you don't read your Bible, because you're too stupid. Yes, I'm calling you stupid and ignorant. The Bible would use the word foolish. Christ is king, not in the way you're saying it, Tard. Christ is king of what? Christ is king of what? Christ is king of what? King of what? The Jews. It was put right above his head on the cross by the Romans to mock him. That term that's going around, all of these Jew haters are saying, to mock the Jews. You see what I'm saying? I'm sorry that you guys are not everybody, but you people saying that, like Tard, who's retarded, and he's showing us, do not read the Bible and do not understand in context what this means. Christ is not king. He's King of kings and Lord of lords. And if you don't accept that, you're not saved and you're not a Christian. Try reading the Bible, the letter God gave you. That expression, Christ is king, was put above Jesus' head on the cross to mock the Jews. So when these social influencers are going, Christ is king, Christ is king, Christ is king, king of what? They're not saying it to honor Christ. They're mocking Christ, just like their father does. Just like Jesus said, if I cast out demons by Beelzebub, then who do you cast them out by? I serve my Father, and I do only what my Father tells me to do. Who is your Father? Who do you serve? You serve Beelzebub. Yeah, some of you don't like that, do you? That gets under your skin. Because this guy's read the Bible once or twice, and he knows what it says. Donald Trump also said this: anybody running for president or vice president should be forced to take a cognitive examination prior to entering the race. By doing so, this would be This wouldn't be surpassed by people like Barack Hussein Obama, or we wouldn't be surprised by people like Barack, in quotation, Hussein Obama, or Sleepy Joe Biden getting elected. Our country would be much better place. I took the exam 3 times, three times during my 3 terms as president. Oh, this is going to get the Q folks all wired up. And aced it all 3 times. An achievement that even on a single exam, according to the doctors, has rarely been done before.
Okay, I'm at potentially hundreds.
It's amazing. Donald Trump just sticks it in there and pokes and pokes and twists and pokes, doing a little trolling, getting everything all speared up. Oh, he's so good at it. Oh, right. You got to love it. You got to love it. Here is Candace Owens' lawsuit. Candace Owens is in trouble. On behalf of Brian Harple, I filed a defamation lawsuit against Candace Owens and Michael Snow. We will not be providing any other statements. You can follow me for updates. So what's that about? Well, people have been telling me, messaging me for the last 7-8 months, if Candace Owens is wrong, they would sue her. Well, here they are. But now y'all go around. I already had somebody sending me a message telling me to leave Candace Owens alone because Candace is a hero. Candace is great and perfect in all the ways. Whatever. She's a grifter extraordinaire. Here's Brian Cates, political commentator over on X. You should follow him. He says, what's about to happen to Candace Owens is going to be ugly, and she deserves all of it. She literally defamed people on video for months, people who are still trying to recover from having lost Charlie, by claiming they were involved in planning and carrying out his murder. It's one of the greatest vicious psyops ever, and many of you fell for it. On the other, a lot of Trump fans love Candace because she spent 7 months investigating and monetizing the Trump plot to kill Charlie for Israel to get to war in Iran, where Trump is on it and part of the cover-up, is in on it and part of the cover-up. If you tell me you support Trump, but you still swallowing this vile anti-Trump witch's brew, this is where you and I part ways, and good riddance to bad trash. She's a deceiver and a liar and a witch. What was happening? Listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to what I'm about to say. Prophetically about to say. What was happening in the days after Charlie Kirk's assassination, Mike will agree with me on this, was a massive, uninitiated by man revival and a harvest as people after people after people people were saying, I don't know why, I just turned into church today and I've never been to church, or I haven't been to church since I was a kid, and it was wonderful, and God spoke to me and I got baptized and now I'm a Christian. It was happening over and over and over and over and over and over, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of times. And then Candace reared her ugly head and started her conspiracy theories, starting attacking Turning Point USA and Erica, and it shut down. Listen to what I'm saying to you. The only reason she was able to shut that down, the demonic forces were able to shut that down, because it isn't time yet. A couple events have to happen first, and then the great harvest will come. And people will message me and say, but Mike, the Bible says that in the end times there'll be a great falling away, blah. Well, then maybe we're not in that time yet. How dare you say that? My favorite Christian TikToker pastor says that the rapture is going to happen Wednesday. He didn't say which Wednesday. Well, I'm here to tell you. Stop listening to the Pharisees who have it all figured out. Because when the Pharisees had it all figured out in Jesus' day, they stared at him in the face and rejected him because it wasn't what they wanted or expected. Don't be deceived. But I'm also going to tell you this, the great falling away, when the great harvest is happening, the great falling away will happen too. It's a simultaneous thing. More than half the church will abandon Christ. Let me say that again slower. More than half the church will abandon Christ to follow their own way, to be turned over to their reprobate mind. Churches will be empty as the harvest comes. The reason why it stopped when Candace did her demonic stuff and Tucker Carlson jumped in the bandwagon and Megyn Kelly and all the others, because it wasn't quite time yet. But wait, because here's the thing. I will bless those that bless you and curse those that curse you. Candace is about to be exposed in a big way. Tucker Carlson is about to be exposed in a big way. Megyn Kelly and the rest of them too. They are about to have their positions ripped away from them by God. And the others that God has already chosen and ordained will be lifted to those spots. Mark my words on that. That's what God says. If you understand this, listen. I will bless those that bless you and curse those that curse you. They're about to be cursed by God. In the Bible, when it says woe to, when God says woe to, that's a curse on you. Or whoever he's saying woe to. Understand what's coming. The veil's going to be removed, and we're going to find out who's really behind all this. You see, nobody listens to the mockingbird media anymore. The mainstream media, nobody listens to them. The demographics of MSNBC and CNN and Fox News are like 70 years old. So what did they do? They changed their tactic. They started buying positions, Stu Peters. They started buying positions for these people and paying these people to say the things they wanted them to say. It is going to be revealed. Candace says she's very excited because she's going to get to have discovery. And you know what? They're going to get discovery too. And you know what they're going to go after? Your financials. Where'd your money come from? Who's sponsoring you? Who paid for your multi-million-dollar studio and production? That all costs a lot of money. Who pays for all that? You may not agree with me. You may not like me. I don't care. I'm not saying the stuff that gets me clicks and likes and all that stuff. I'm not saying that. I'm not. Or I'd be one of the Candace shields. I'm saying what God is telling me to say. I'm saying what God is telling me to say. Donald Trump asked why he doesn't wear a bulletproof vest. I think he does, actually, but it's funny.
About you potentially wearing a bulletproof vest moving forward, given you have now been shot at.
I don't know if I can handle looking 20 pounds heavier. These guys, they look so good. Some of these guys are physical specimens. Some of these guys are trouble. I don't want to be near him. No. if you want to gain 20 to 25 pounds, get a West vest. And believe me, frankly, the vest did an amazing job because it took a bullet close up. And he didn't even want to go to the hospital. I mean, we sent him to the hospital just in case, but he didn't want, it's still a hit. But he didn't want to go to the hospital. The vest totally protected him. Still a lot of power behind that shot, though. That's like getting hit by Mike Tyson. But it's amazing. I've been asked about that, and I guess it's something you consider. In one way, you don't like to do it because you're giving into a bad element, and so I don't know. But I have been asked about it.
How nervous are you about it happening again? Another assassination attempt?
I don't think about it.
You don't think about it
And
at
if
all?
I did, I wouldn't be doing a very good job here. I'd be thinking about nothing but that. I don't think about it. I don't think about it. If I did, I wouldn't be effective. Okay.
Mr. President.
Yeah, I don't want to gain 10 pounds, so don't wear the bulletproof vest. Let me tell you something. They can make clothing now. There's companies out there that make clothing like his suit jacket. He has some protection. He has some protection. I'm telling you, it's coming. I want to get back to the voting stuff because, well, there's a lot to talk about. Here is over there on MSNBC, and I just want to remind you something. You know how sold out the Republican Party has been? This guy right here, Michael Steele, used to be the head of the Republican Party. Just remember that. Listen to what they say.
Nick, can you just lay out for the folks at home the current ground that we are all now standing on, given what the court ruled this morning?
Yes, we're standing on quicksand. We, as a democracy, are sinking. And we're doing that with the Supreme Court putting weights on our ankles. Okay, that's where we are. The Supreme Court's decision today is one of the most disingenuous legal opinions I've read in my entire life.
We're on quicksand, and this is the most disingenuous. No, it's very much ingenuous. The Voting Rights Act said you couldn't discriminate in voting. The Supreme Court, this rendition of the Supreme Court has been very consistent on this. You can't discriminate. The Constitution says you can't discriminate. You can't discriminate based on skin color, religion, any of that stuff. You can't discriminate. These same people who want to discriminate in certain districts and say this is a black district so they can get black power, which happens to be blue power. These same people don't want to discriminate when people come across the border. It's weird. Now this is it right here. This is, in a nutshell, what just happened. Only this is like reading end time prophecies in Islam to end time prophecies of the Bible. It's 180 degrees out around. Listen to what he says.
Well, the court's conservative majority just struck a staggering blow to the Voting Rights Act, the most significant piece of small d democratic legislation probably in this country's history. We can talk about what the court did, the 6-3 conservative majority with the 3 Trump appointees all siding with Justice Alito in striking down this key provision of the Voting Rights Act. Oh, they say they're not doing that.
Okay, there's no provision in the Voting Rights Act that says you can discriminate against white people in making districts. There's none in there. It doesn't say that at all. They added it to it after the fact. Let's continue.
The Voting Rights Act. Oh, they say they're not doing that. I think it's good to just take a step back to understand the history here. After the Civil War, when slaves were freed, there was a push by radical Republicans, the progressives of their day, both black and white, to make that freedom real equality. There were.
Did you see what he did there? Okay, there was a push by radical Republican progressives that were trying to make the black people have the ability to vote. Well, who was pushing against having black people vote? Anybody? The Democrats. Let's continue. Let's continue with this BS.
3 amendments passed the Constitution, 13th, 14th, and 15th, that guaranteed equal protection.
All passed by Republicans. And the reason they're saying these are progressive people, total misunderstanding. They're doing a wookie dookie, these are not the droids you're looking for thing here. All passed. This was about, oh no, they were progressive. No, this was about all men are created equal, endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights. They were going back to conserve the beginning. This is not progressivism because, as I explained to you, progressives, as coined today, as this guy is using it, are fascists. The Bund Party, the Nationalist Socialist Party of America, complete with seize heils and busts of Adolf Hitler, changed its name in the 50s to the Progressive, the American Progressive Party. So let's continue. To point this out, I want you to understand what he's saying.
Of the law and voting rights, and between 1869 and 1877, a remarkable thing happened, particularly in the U.S. South. Black voting registration achieved parity with white voting registration.
Until the Democrats and the KKK came along. He's going to say the same thing I just said, but he's going to make it sound like the Republicans were doing it.
Black and white voters voting at the same rates. Black elected representatives in state legislatures, state senates, in Congress, in the United States Senate. You had multiracial democracy for about 8 years. And then a whole bunch of things happened. Union troops left the South.
Union troops left the South, so the Republicans left the South. The Republicans relinquished control of the South back to the Democrats. The Dixiecrats.
White politicians kind of schemed.
White Democratic politicians started to scheme.
And there was a wave of white supremacist violence from the KKK.
Democrats.
That basically rolled back all those gains. What's crucial to understand is it was the U.S. Supreme Court, the white U.S. Supreme Court, that essentially sided with the white supremacists of the South and facilitated the rolling back of what was multiracial democracy in the South.
Democrats on the court, activist Democrats on the court. Jim Crow was a Democrat.
Leading to the Jim Crow era. By the 1910s and 20s, there's basically no registered black voters in the South. There's no black elected representatives, more or less.
Because the Democrats lynched Republicans, black and white alike, to take over all of the southern states, all the former Confederacy states, the same way they've taken over all the New England states. The same way they've taken over California and Washington and Oregon. Are you seeing a trend here?
It is now one-party white supremacist rule, and that is
it is now one-party white and black socialist, Marxist, fascist rule in the northeastern states. As a matter of fact, how many blacks are there represented in the northeastern states?
Thanks to the U.S. Supreme Court that gutted the provisions of the U.S. Constitution that hundreds of thousands of Union troops had fought and died to put into the U.S. Constitution. It was not until 1965, the Voting Rights Act, that true multiracial democracy returned
by Republicans.
Yeah, it was a return. And it took, 90 years, more or less, to get it back. And then
because the Democrats fought it every step of the way. But it's not what this bill says is what happens. What happens is what the Democrats do. They co-op it and they infer meaning. It's not our democracy, our democracy, our democracy, our democracy, our democracy. And now we got people like Thomas Massey and Rand Paul, our democracy, our democracy. All saying the same thing.
The last 60 years, with the Voting Rights Act in place, we have seen Black and white voter turnout and registration achieved parity, an unprecedented boom of black elected representatives, particularly true in the South, where the majority of black African Americans still live. And now the Supreme Court is basically...
So did the Supreme Court say that black people can't vote anymore? Is that what the Supreme Court ruled? That's what he's trying to say. Black people, you're not allowed to vote anymore. That's not what it said. It said you cannot build districts based upon race. That's what it says. You see, I guarantee you, if those districts were all of a sudden people were to wake up and start voting red, they would nullify this rule that the Supreme Court just did. They would celebrate it. They don't give a damn about black people. They give a damn about blue people.
Doing the same thing they did in the late 19th century, in that ignominious period of Plessy v. Ferguson and other decisions, in which they essentially rubber-stamped white supremacy. That is what they run the risk of doing today. And if there's any hope in the story, and it's a tough day, the hope in the story is the court did this once before. The powers that be that wanted to chase black folks out of full participation in American democracy were temporarily victorious, but ultimately they lost.
Democrats.
It's not over.
And they were temporary when the voter rights stuff passed. Then they went in and changed what it meant. And this is going to have ramifications because they're going to lose seats like there's no tomorrow. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I can't wait for it to happen. Because these guys, they deserve everything that they're about to get. You know, here's another one. Let me step on a little bit of your guys's, since I'm on all the channels, let me step on a little bit of your guys's perceived what shall I say, PSYOP information. I'll tell you why afterwards. Here we go. You ready?
Touching me, touching you, sweet Caroline.
I've created free energy, and then the government comes and takes him out. The meme is hilarious, so I don't have a problem with the meme. But there's no such thing as free energy. There's no such thing as free energy. Even if that guy was able to create a machine that creates free energy, it would still have to make the machine. You would still have to have somebody making the machines. That would still cost money. The machine, the materials, the raw materials cost money unless you have your utopian socialist communist society. Then it can be free when everybody's a slave. So those of you running around going, yeah, but I saw where in the 70s they took a car and it got 290,000 miles per gallon. Yes, you can make a car. How many gearheads are out there know exactly what I'm talking about? Cold fusion is certainly more efficient. Absolutely. It will make are there things that can make the energy less expensive? Absolutely. But it's never going to be free unless you live in a utopia, a communist socialist utopia. That's the only way you get it for free. And then for free is not going to work out very well for you. But let's give you an example. Yes, MIT, other people have taken cars and gotten 100 miles, 150 miles, 200 miles per gallon. You can absolutely do that. I would not want to pull onto I-70 driving a car like that. Anybody who's a gearhead, anybody who's done any kind of racing, when you have to deal with your torque and fuel, right? Get your torque, your highest performance, there's a cross there on your motor. You can put in the numbers and it tells you what's called your power band, right? So this is your fuel consumption. This is your torque consumption. And somewhere is your power band. Where that crosses at is your power band. So when you're doing dirt track racing, you're trying to get your power band to be at the top of the corner so that when you get back on the gas, you're right at the top of your power band. Now, let me tell you something. You're not getting good gas mileage when you do that. It's not miles per hour. It's miles, it's gallons per mile. The M1 tank. You're moving 60 tons at 50 miles an hour or so. It doesn't get good gas mileage because in order to move 50 tons at 60 miles an hour, it takes a lot of power. In order to have power, you got to have a lot of gas. But you can sip the gasoline into your car and get 100 miles a gallon. But you're sacrificing power to do it. Do you understand what I'm saying? The world of outlaws. Yeah, but they don't burn gasoline. They burn alcohol. Methane. I believe it's methane. Methane alcohol. Am I right? You go to Top Field Drag Racing and they're using nitro. The M1 is almost 10 gallons per mile. Yeah. So I just got done listening to a dystopian end of the world government falls apart book, and some cartels ends up raiding a military base and getting 21 M1 main battle tanks, and they thought they were going to conquer America with their main battle. What they found out though is they don't work very well without gasoline, without fuel, and fuel is very hard to come by. Didn't work out well for them, but anyways. Yes. The more gas you can burn, the more power you can make. That's right. So you can get a car to go 100 miles per gallon, but you'll be driving a little Yugo or something, and you don't want to try to pull in the traffic on I-70. I'm just saying, here in central Missouri, because you get your run over. So my point on all that is energy is not free. It's not free to make. It's not free to produce. So therefore, it will never be free. It may be cheaper, but it will not be free. It's impossible. Everything has a cost. The Dodge Colt, the only Japanese you need to know. Yeah. The old Volkswagen diesel Rabbit, it still holds the record of the best gas mileage in a production car. It's like 55, 60 miles per gallon of diesel. And they were pretty peppy, but they weren't no race car, that's for sure. Here's John Solomon coming out with another breaking story. Just a real quick, just listen.
Scores of raw intelligence reports that show Chinese meddling in the American election. And there's one report raising concern that Ukraine was engaged in a plot to do something bad in the 2024 election to help Joe Biden. I want to repeat that. There is intercepted intelligence that the Trump administration has had for many, many months, in which it is suggested by Ukrainian officials that they're going to try to help Joe Biden win the election using American taxpayer money.
Donald Trump will sign an executive order insurrection act because of foreign influence within our election, and that many American politicians and bureaucrats at state and federal level were working with them. It's going to happen. And it's going to be ugly for these people. Donald Trump, just to stir the bucket, trolling, doing a little bit trolling. You see what that says? Record numbers all over the place. Should I try for a fourth term? Donald Trump, just doing a little trolling, Should I try for a fourth term, he says? Listen to this.
But we've ended the radical left. Well, we actually already served 3, but if you count. But remember, I like the victories. I like the 3 victories, which we absolutely had. I just don't like the results of the middle term, the results. I don't want those results, John. I don't want those results. What results? What a disgrace. If we would have had this group for...
Should he have another term? How's that all going to work out? I don't know. Carol says, didn't they try to sell us on solar power as being free energy? Well, somebody had to make the solar panels, didn't they? Oh, it was free, though. I got it for free. No, you got it with a government subsidy. It means taxpayers pay for it. Nothing's free. And how's those free solar panels working out for you in Springfield, Missouri? Asking for a friend. Or down there in Texas or Oklahoma, where the tornadoes went through. How's that working out for you? Not so good, I imagine. Here's Donald Trump again. Just trolling, doing a little bit of trolling.
Is that in my first term, I disrupted all of it. Oh, did I disrupt? That was called major disruption. And in my second term, which we're sort of having now, but I don't want the results, right? I don't want the results of this second term. This second term is a disaster for this country. Worst president, think of it. There's never been a president like...
Talking about Joe. His second term when Joe Biden was president. Oh, yeah. Having a good time. Here's Hillary Clinton responding to the Supreme Court ruling. In the 24 hours since the Supreme Court's majority rule to diminish the Voting Rights Act's remaining protections, Louisiana and Tennessee have already signaled that they'll withdraw their congressional maps with a clear effect of shutting black voters out. The court's decision overlooks reality for self-serving right-wing fantasy and will reign in infamy. No, Hillary, you will reign in infamy. And that's what Pepe says. You will reign in infamy. Imagine all the children you've hurt. Haiti will follow you to hell, dearie. Yep. She said it takes a village, and she should know because she's taken many of them. Here is John Solomon. We talked about Candace. Here's John Solomon. Scott Jennings on Tucker Carlson.
Tucker Carlson said he regrets campaigning for Donald Trump, which I guess now, does that mean he now wishes Kamala Harris was the president of the United States? Is that what you want? I mean, honestly, Donald Trump's always been clear that he would never permit Iran to have a nuclear weapon. To say that you weren't aware of that, or that you weren't aware of how hawkish he was on Iran in his first term, I mean, honestly, it's all look, let's just call it what it is. It's all Israel. You've got a group of broken-brained people out there who are anti-Israel. They blame everything on the Jews, and that's the position they take on virtually every issue right now. And so Donald Trump goes out and says, I'm going to take nuclear weapons away from radical Islamic terrorists so they don't blow things up all over the world. And your answer to that is to say you regret electing this man, a Republican who defeats radical Islamic terrorists and takes away nuclear weapons, and you're mad about it?
That's because Tucker Carlson is going to convert to Islam, if he hasn't already. But don't worry. He'll be as Islamic as he is Episcopalian. Breaking news. Scoop. DOJ prosecutors in Virginia are pursuing separate charges for James Comey for allegedly leaking classified information. Blanche's DOJ, not satisfied with just 8647 case, in recent weeks received national security probe that stalled out last year. They're superseding. It's called seditious conspiracy. They're all going to get tied up in this. They're all going to get tied up in this, and it's going to be ugly. Here's Iran on the Iran-Iraq war. Iran-Iraq. That was a long time ago. On the Iran Donald Trump war, his war of aggression. This is what Iran says. The world has witnessed Iran's tolerance and conciliation. What is being done under the guise of a naval blockade is an extension of a military operations against a nation paying the price for its resistance and independence. Continuation of this oppressive approach is intolerable. And this Dan down here says, let me translate. He says, regime translator, Islamic Republic of Iran president says the regime can't take the U.S. blockade anymore after it murdered tens of thousands of innocent Iranians, longs for martyrdom, begs to be bombed again. Give the man what he wants. And here's, as Finch says, icing on the cake. It's a devastated Sonny Hostin in near tears over SCOTUS ending the race bait congressional districts. I have been discriminated against, and now I have to tell my children that they have less civil rights than I did when I was born. Yes, you're a millionaire TV host. You live in the lap of luxury. You've been down to the places, I don't know, Diddy parties or Epstein or wherever you've been, and done all the things that the rich and powerful do. And you have less civil rights. You can still vote for the person you choose to vote for. You're just not a guaranteed win anymore. Also, a 3-judge panel has issued an order affirming that Louisiana may not conduct congressional elections under its now unconstitutional map. The state must submit a plan on how to comply with CALIS, that's the Supreme Court ruling, within 3 days of this judge issuance, which was like yesterday. So they have till like Monday. Interesting things. Hey, today's the first, ain't it? It should be fun. Also, breaking news. Come on, mouse here. Work. Justice Department says it will enforce SCOTUS ruling in every state with racially gerrymandered districts. You know what? Every state has racially gerrymandered districts. They got to get the more progressive socials. You know, the truth is, though, hear me out. What do they say? We can't have voter IDs because black people are too stupid to get ID to vote. But hear me out. Go look. Check every district that's out there. Every district in every major city, dark blue, that counts on the black vote that they're so upset about, they don't vote. They don't vote. They don't want them to vote. They just want them to register so they can vote for them. That's what this is really all about. That's what this was really all about. Here's the 5 as the token leftist on the 5 tries to explain this away.
To use earlier language, this could turn into a maximum nonviolent warfare moment where everybody says, if this is the law of the land that you can go around gerrymandering like this, we're going to try to get ourselves the most advantageous position.
Well, at least I will take that over you guys shooting Republicans. So go ahead.
Honestly, was thrilled that we were not on the same day earlier this week. You know what I think about the violent rhetoric issue. Do not kill people. Also, we know where the violence comes from.
Yes.
Gerrymandering's bad. Democrats don't want it. Republicans do. Vote for our ban.
Kaylee, what do you say to that?
Well, I am going to take the constitutional side. Jessica just made a political argument about gerrymandering, but I apologize to everyone at the Fox News printer. I print more primary documents from that printer than anyone. This is the 97-page. No, I don't do double-sided. I'm sorry.
Double-sided's for losers.
Sorry to the trees. Sorry to Fox. Sorry.
This is like
blow up the budget.
Climate change agenda is going too far.
There you go.
BS climate change agenda. We all know that the trees that make the paper come from places like Georgia, where they have tree farms that grow trees like corn to make paper out of. But I digress.
I want to quote Justice Roberts in a previous case, who has the best take on any of these race issues and totally underscores the points that you both have made. The way to stop discrimination on the basis of race is to stop discriminating on the basis of race. That should be the guiding philosophy on any single matter. We don't discriminate against anyone in this country because of their skin color. The best take on this was not the majority take on this, which was well done. It was the concurrence by Justice Thomas. Here's what Justice Thomas said. He is exactly right. The court led legislatures and courts to systematically divide the country into electoral districts based on racial lines. He goes on to say blacks were drawn into black districts, given black representatives, Hispanics drawn into Hispanic districts, given Hispanic representatives. And here's what he said. He said that is repugnant to any nation that strives for the ideal of a color-blind constitution. We should all be against the balkanization of society, putting black people here and white people here and Hispanic people here, and the absolutely nonsensical, hyperbolic Democrats that we just played that said Jim Crow, Jim Crow, Jim Crow. They are naively advocating for the very thing they are giving lip service to be against. And take that not from me, but from the second ever black justice on the Supreme Court, Justice Thomas, who said there is no place for this. It is repugnant.
Yep, that's about it. That's exactly what I'm saying. Exactly what I'm saying. Now, let me just tell you, I talked about Sonny Haskell on The View. Listen to this. This is the FTC chairman, excuse me.
We have an investigation going on right now into The View, and we've raised serious questions with them. They are asserting that The View is what the statute calls a bona fide news program. And if you're a bona fide news program under the law, you actually don't have to comply with the equal time requirements. So they're asserting that they're bona fide news, just like, I don't know, Meet the Press used to be or something like that. There's obviously questions that have been raised about whether they are in fact bona fide news, and we've asked them to file a petition at the FCC to try to get some clarification on that, and we'll see where that goes. But I think if
you think that's gaslighting, though, there's no way anyone thinks The View is bona fide news.
I think there's a lot of questions that have been raised about that.
By the way, Chris Miller asks from Facebook, is that where the fires are at in Georgia? I don't know. Those tree farms are all over the place. When I was on Fort Benning, like that was the thing. There were tree farms, but they grow that's paper mills is what they are. You know, that everywhere in the country, pretty much all along the eastern seaboard from the Carolinas south, all on the south, all the way to the west from New Mexico, Arizona, California, on north, all the way up to Washington, there's a major drought going on right now. The only place that's not under drought conditions right now is Missouri, eastern Kansas, Arkansas, Missouri, up to the northeast. So Illinois, Ohio, Michigan, those places, because we've got a lot of rain in the last little bit. Everywhere else in the United States is under a drought condition. That leads me to Kim Clement prophecies about drought. Look that up. Because he says that there'll be drought, and then the rain will come. And when the rain comes is when everything changes. So pay attention to that. Pay attention to that. A lot of things are being fulfilled right before our very eyes. A lot of things are being fulfilled right before our very eyes. Anyways, today's Friday. No show after show today. Today's show is brought to you by Q Streaming. It's right at the top there. If you're tired of paying the dollars and dollars and dollars to the corporate big box, either cable or satellite, try Q Streaming. Try Q Streaming. It's only $69 a month, and you get all the channels. Here's the channels, just some of the channels that you get right here. And they've updated everything, and they work fantastic. Now, since the beginning of this year, I've not had a problem with them. So that's the link at the top right-hand corner or left-hand corner or wherever it is, that QR code, or the links in the description section. Or you can send me a text message or a message to 660-620 or PatriotMikeShow@gmail.com. Those two places right there, and I'll send you the link and show you how to get started with Q streaming. Q streaming, if you really want to be free of all the crap. Especially them taking $200, $300. I've heard horror stories of what people were paying. So with that, you guys have a great day, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Patriot Mike. I won't see you tomorrow. I'll see you Monday. Talk to you later.